Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I would like to welcome you to tonight's panel event, Market Like It's Hot, Fortune Building 2021. Thank you for coming to Downtown Spaces. We are the largest and newest co-working space located right here in the heart of downtown El Paso. I am your host tonight, Katie Scott. So, without further ado, I present to you our panelists. Daisy Aguirre, also known as El Paso's homegirl. Daisy has over 10 years of experience in the real estate industry, who is always up to date in today's market. She is one of the youngest realtors in El Paso, and her professionalism and outside-the-box thinking has led her clients to buying and selling their homes and maximizing their investment profit. Denise Franco, founder and CEO of Franco Real Estate Group. Denise has been in the real estate industry for over 7 years and just celebrated her 5-year anniversary as a Texas licensed realtor. Born and raised in El Paso, Texas, Denise has built a strong brand centered on her personal relationships and a referral-based business. Franco Real Estate Group consists of a team of experts committed to sell homes at top dollar, teach people how to invest in real estate, and create business opportunities. Denise Franco. We got Chad Daughtry. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Kind of. He is a father, husband, real estate investor, and a USMC veteran here in El Paso, Texas. He has bought and sold over 100 properties in the local market and hosts the REI Social El Paso. That's the largest real estate meetup here in El Paso, Texas. Let's welcome our panelists. All right, now that we have introduced our panelists, let's dive into the discussion. Okay, so this one's for everyone. How did you get started in your business journey in real estate? Let's start off with you, Denise.
So I got started, I think, just growing up, here in El Paso, most of our Hispanic fathers and uncles, handymen. My family, very similar, grew up with handymen all over the family. I took an interest to fixing and flipping initially. That was my initial plan. And then that just kind of organically switched. But that was initially how I became interested. I was working corporate America. I was working in restaurants. I was kind of getting tired of that schedule, and I was looking for something else. So I decided to look into real estate. Flipping was the initial goal, but that ended up switching, like I said, organically into becoming a realtor, and it just kind of took off, and I really enjoyed it, and so here we are today.
Awesome. Daisy, how did you get into real estate?
Well, ever since I was legally able to work, maybe even before that, I worked for my parents. Over the years, I just helped them acquire investment properties initially, and finally, I guess there comes a point where you just kind of want to fly the coop and start, kind of making a name for yourself, without being in the shadow of your parents. So I decided to join real estate when I was 22. It was 2009, so it was like as soon as the recession hit. So it was like an amazing time to start my real estate career.
Awesome. Chad, how did you get into real estate?
So what happened with me is as I was getting out of the Marine Corps, we were actually, me and my wife, Griselle, who is a local El Pasoan, we were planning on going to Dallas. And then 2 months before we got out, she's pregnant. So we landed back here in El Paso, where all her family is, and tried college out for a little bit again, stumbled onto Bigger Pockets. I don't know if anybody here has been on there, but from there I found a local group where I know a few of these guys from, and then from there it spun off a local real estate group, and from there it just spun off, and it's been pretty good ever since.
Great. So we know that the real estate market is on fire right now. What do each of you think about the current market right now?
I think that the market's full of opportunities. I think that wherever there's challenges, there's opportunities, especially for anybody that owns property. There's so much opportunity for them to cash out and make a really good return on their investment right now.
And Daisy, what do you think about the current market?
I would agree. I would agree with Denise. I think that we are experiencing historically high sales prices that we really never have before in our market, really ever. The way and the rate that we've increased in sales prices is completely uncompared to any other, year in real estate that we've experienced. I think that if you have a property, you should sell it. I think it's an amazing time to cash out, just like Denise said. And it's also the most challenging time to become a homeowner. So I think that really people don't really talk about the new challenges that we're facing for home buyers right now. It's amazing for sellers, but really not so great for buyers. So that's what I think.
Chad, what do you think?
So for us with flipping, I do a lot of wholesaling as well. So what's happened here lately is because our market is still cheap in comparison to these other ones, we have much bigger buyers coming in with cash offers, and they're smoking everybody local that's like FHA or everything like that. So they're struggling, but for us, things are moving very, very, very fast, very easy.
Absolutely. So Daisy, this one's for you. You have over 10 years of experience in real estate. What are the biggest benefits you see sellers have in our current market?
Okay, so again, when I first started, not only was I really naive and, lacking experience, but the market was just absolutely terrible for sellers. We were seeing a lot of foreclosures, tons of short sales. The sellers who were in a position to sell would pay buyers' closing costs. They would drop on price. They would linger on the market for 3 to 6 months. Now, none of those things exist. So a buyer will have to pay their own closing costs. A seller will never have to worry about those things. And we're seeing bidding wars. So maybe in the last year, I've seen bidding wars. Before it was a tactic that we would tell a buyer's agent when I'm representing a seller. I would say, hey, I have another offer, just to let you know, just to kind of, dangle the carrot so that the other agent would come in with an even higher offer than they initially, wanted to. And now it's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, we have 10 offers at least in like the first 2 days, which is amazing. And so now it's kind of like a Hunger Games situation. It's like, okay, highest and best, may the odds ever be in your favor. And people are fighting for your houses. And like with repairs, it doesn't matter. And I think that somebody in trouble, which is my specialty, divorces, tax delinquencies are like my forte. Anything, right? Like if you owe a bunch of money on your property, you don't have to call that sign anymore. You can have people fight for your house. So that's the biggest benefit for a seller in this market, is like you no longer have to beg somebody to buy your house. You'll have like cream of the crop buyers that you can actually choose from. So that's really the main benefit that I think.
So Denise, on the other side, homes are selling faster than you can put up a for sale sign. Mm-hmm. So what is the biggest concern you see buyers are having in the market?
So buyers' biggest concern is that they are never going to get an offer accepted. That's their biggest concern. If I'm a buyer in this market, how am I ever going to get an offer accepted? And to that, I really think it depends on that. That's why it's important to be working with the right team, a team that's knowledgeable, that has listings on the market, understands what type of offers are being made to beat out the other offers, and just having that representation. It is possible to get your offer accepted. We do it all the time. You just have to be a little more patient. You have to be a little more willing and giving, and you have to be really serious about buying, because like Daisy said, you are going to pay for your own closing costs. You are going to have to come in with an aggressive offer. You're going to have to take whatever your realtor says and take it serious and take that advice and run with it.
Yes, absolutely. So Chad, with such a competitive and low inventory market, is it a good time to invest in a home that you plan on flipping? And if so, why or why not?
For us, absolutely, because we specialize almost exclusively on off-market deals. So stuff that's hit the MLS, we generally don't even look at, because it's already so inflated in price and overpriced. But no, that's just like you. We specialize in different types of distresses, like probates or pre-foreclosures or anything like that. But no, not right now with pre-foreclosures. Everything got paused. But yeah, everything like that. That's how we get around it.
So Daisy, the real estate market is booming. But we all know what goes up must come down. So what do you think the biggest challenge the real estate market will face in the next 5 years?
Okay, so this is really my favorite topic, is kind of looking into the future. Although we don't have a crystal ball, we really don't know how the market is going to behave, even in the next 6 to 12 months, you know? But in my practice, personally, I'm not representing buyers at all. I'm 100% referral based right now, so, you know, I get referrals for buyers every day. And I tell them, this is the way the market is. You are buying at the historically highest price point that we've ever seen in this market. So if you purchase right now, in 5 years, you know, 3 to 4 years from now, when you decide to have another baby, when you decide to maybe sell this house and, you know, move on to something bigger, it's very likely that you're going to be upside down. And you're going to come and ask me, hey, Daisy, can you sell my house? And I'll tell you, sorry, you're $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in the red. And the buyer's going to look at me and say, why? I don't understand. And I said, because you bought at the wrong time of the market. And they're going to look at me and say, you're the asshole that sold me the house at the peak of the market. So now you're telling me I can't sell my house? So all those things, I really just think that you have to guide your client in the trend that's happening now, but as a licensed agent, you have to look at their best interest, not only right now, but years to come. So in my opinion, if the market is great for sellers, I'm representing sellers. And if the market is great for buyers, I'm representing buyers. And I'm gonna advise the other side, hey, it's not the best time right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
To that, those people that are in the red in 5 to 10 years, hit me up.
I will.
I can buy those too.
Okay.
Can I add to that also?
Yes.
Because that's a really interesting take on it. And I thought about doing that, but I think there's certain clients that have a need to move. Mm-hmm. If there's a need for you to move, what I always recommend is the best case scenario. If you're selling your property, be open to renting for a while. Be open to leasing for a little bit. At least this way you're not tied down into something that could possibly be underwater 5-10 years from now. So Daisy has a valid point, but if there's a need, we're still working with buyers.
There's always someone looking for a home.
Yeah, like it happens. You need to move sometimes, and the timing maybe just is
Now.
not right. Yeah.
Okay, so Denise, you have over 7 years of experience, and now you're teaching your clients about real estate. So why do you think it's important to invest in the real estate market right now or not?
So I think that it's important to invest in real estate, period. So as the market moves, we move with it. And I'm not necessarily pushing for you to buy real estate, but for you to invest in real estate and understand what's the most strategic plan for you. Chad here is still buying properties under market value in today's market because he does it strategically. There is a way to do it strategically. There is a way to buy right now strategically. But I would just like to refer to a quote from Franklin Roosevelt. He says, real estate cannot be lost or stolen. It cannot be carried away. When purchased with common sense, managed with reasonable care, it is about the safest investment in the world. And I believe that quote to be very true.
That's a good quote. I love that one.
I might have butchered it a little bit.
It sounded good. Daisy, so what advice would you give investors that are wanting to invest in the market but are hesitant because of what you said?
Well, I mean, like I said, I think that prices for your average 1 to 4 family real estate investment are like crazy. I don't believe in them. My dad's an investor, so he acquired the majority of his portfolio during the recession. So that's where he just was purchasing, making money hand over fist. So when it comes to an investor, I say, where are we seeing more of a surplus in inventory? If you really want to invest, like Denise said, do it more strategically. My boyfriend does commercial investments, commercial leasing, sales. So we've seen an influx in that with the pandemic, where we have so many commercial properties available for sale. So although you might not want to invest the traditional way, you're going to have to look at more outside the box thinking, like commercial, like off-market deals like Chad, But me personally, I tell them, if you want a good investment, I will let you know if something comes up. Don't expect for it to, be readily available on the MLS, obviously. And the way that you make money on a real estate investment is really how you purchase. So you really make your money on the purchase, not necessarily on the sale. So if you purchase the right way, already purchasing with equity, you can, rest assured that that equity will only grow in a matter of time when you're ready to either lease it, you can owner finance it, you can then sell it. There's just so many ways. So I'm very careful with anybody wanting to invest right now.
So Chad, let's get on to home flipping, your specialty. Okay, so you've been flipping homes for a while now, and you're extremely successful. What is your strategy for maximizing your profit in the current market today?
Buy cheap and match the neighborhood. Ignore everything you see on HGTV. Don't do it. Don't do it. You don't need to put quartz in a $100,000 house. It's not worth it. You'll never get that money back. Mm-hmm. But no, yeah, we work with a lot of different lenders and different private money and everything, and wholesaling, focusing more on wholesaling. So getting deals for you guys at very low prices, very steep discounts has become mainly our specialty lately. That's how we've gotten adapted to the market.
What's your step-by-step process from getting the home to remodeling it? What is your step-by-step process?
So first we find the houses, right, and then we analyze the deal, make sure the numbers make sense. We'll get a few different opinions, BPOs, or sometimes an appraisal, depending on who we use as the lender. Personally, I don't like to use our own money. We like to use other people's money, so we use hard money lenders or private lenders or anything like that. So we line up the funds, and then we get contractors in there for the bids, and then we make sure that they're on the same page with us. Just a tip for everybody, do line items, pay by line items. Don't give them half up front like a lot of them ask for, because things can happen. I don't know if you guys have ever used contractors before, but sometimes they disappear, and it's not good. But there's a lot of good ones out there too. There's a lot of good ones, but that is one of the biggest things to watch out for, is to find good ones. And then, it takes us normally 3 to 4 weeks to get everything done and on the market.
So it takes you 3 to 4 weeks to remodel an entire home. Mm-hmm. Is there something specific that you look for when you're remodeling a home, when you're working with current trends, or are you looking more so for just kind of making it pretty so it's move-in ready?
So you'd be surprised, a lot of the stuff that we get, we buy it as is at our low price, clean it, take nice pictures, and put it on the market for a lot more money, and it sells. We call it wholetailing, like retail and wholesale kind of combined. But no, you really, in this market, you don't have to do much. No. You do the bare minimum, lipstick on a pig, as a lot of people call it. But just do the bare minimum, put it back out there, and see what happens.
Are you seeing any specific trends that home buyers are looking for?
Available housing. That's all they want right now.
They don't care what the inside looks like?
No? Not at all.
All right. So Denise, can you share why it's important to have an agent as a representation for you when you're buying or selling your home?
Yeah, the biggest thing is you're going to have representation. So you're going to be represented, you're going to be protected. Keep in mind, we sell houses day in and day out. And even now, and I think you can attest to this, Daisy, with every single transaction, we still learn something new. There's still stuff that comes up that's new to us. So if you're selling your property, you're buying a property for the first time, the second time, even the third time, the amount of experience and knowledge that we have to back you up is, in my opinion, invaluable.
So Daisy, this year millennials stopped eating avocado toast and they started investing in homes. What questions should a first-time home buyer ask their agent?
Okay, so lately, if you're in real estate, you know that like everyone and their cousin has a real estate license. So because it's so difficult to get under contract and secure a property, if I knew what I know and I was buying a house, I would ask them like, can you spell? Can you follow instructions on how to fill out a contract on a 1 to 4? Do you know your Trek real estate forms? And I know it sounds super obvious, but you would be surprised how many people don't know how to write out a legal description. That can bring you so many problems, down the line. I would ask, have you experienced a recession? Those have been the absolute hardest deals, like the hardest. We're the first ones, and like even now, 12 years later, that I think, oh my God, I haven't had anything harder than the Sanchez family. Obviously, it's not their last name, but back in 2010. Or have you been able to save your seller from a foreclosure? Have you been able, give me examples of your battle scars, like your battle, like tell me what you can do. Like tell me a little bit about the history or the trajectory of your career. That I think is super important, because now you want to hire your cousin just because, he's a bartender, but he has a real estate license and he does it on the side and he might like post a couple of houses. That's not a realtor. So you have to be really picky. Also, ask the agent, how much of your business comes from referrals? How much comes from an internet lead? You would be surprised how many realtors pay thousands of dollars for leads from Zillow, and that's not a real clientele base. You're basically paying to get clients to call you, and your business becomes transactional. You want an agent that is referral and relationship based.
Relationships are definitely everything.
Yeah.
So Chad, the goal to flip a house is to sell it fast and make a profit. So with COVID-19 happening, how has it been a little bit trickier than it was before flipping a home?
Man, at the very beginning, it was crazy. We had 2 houses hit the market at the day everything froze. So like the day, no more showings or nothing like that. So we had to pivot a little bit, turn them into rentals for short term. But since then, after a few months after that, everything kind of went back to normal, but at a much higher pace. Like, I don't know what happened right after the lockdown. Everybody said, I have to buy a house right now, no matter what. So I don't know. We haven't really had any difficulties come up like that since after the initial lockdown.
Don't you think that people were just sick of being in their apartments or in their current housing where they just wanted like, okay, I need a house with a pool?
I don't know what happened. It doesn't make sense. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I don't know. But I'm happy it happened.
Me
So
too.
it's been very good for us.
Chad, has your exit strategy from after flipping a home changed from like before the pandemic versus now?
It's opened up a little bit. We haven't done it yet, but we've dabbled a lot more with the idea of short-term rentals, Airbnbs, month-long ones for the traveling nurses or anything like that. But a lot more comfortable with rentals because I didn't have any at the beginning. I sold everything. And since then, since the lockdown, and I had to turn 2 of them into rentals, I've been picking them up. I'm very comfortable with the idea now. Because at the beginning, everybody's scared. I don't want to mess with toilets. I don't want to do this and that. It's not that bad. It's not that bad once you do a couple. Just like when you start investing in properties, do a couple, and it just becomes another thing. It's not hard anymore.
You talked about toilets. What is your favorite and least favorite part about renovating a home?
Squatters for sure. Yeah, they're. I won't go into too much detail, but they're gross, super gross, and homeless people. Yeah.
And what do you look forward to when you're renovating a home?
Something that's rarely happened. Smooth closing.
A smooth closing.
Smooth closing. No, nothing crazy comes up. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah.
But they're very rare. It's always something.
All right. So Denise, in April 2021, a couple months ago, the unemployment rate was at 6.9%. So what are some employment opportunities that you have?
So with COVID, we've just seen so many different changes. And I think with COVID, we've had a lot of blessings in disguises. I know personally a lot of my friends and family took the opportunity of getting laid off or just having their hours cut and starting their own business. And so I think that there's a lot of employment opportunities with small businesses. There's a lot of small businesses out there that are looking to hire good people that have opportunities for advancement within that business, because they're just starting up, and they really need people that are gonna be loyal and just give it their all and believe in this company that they started up in the midst of COVID.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people did that. We did that here at Downtown Spaces. So Daisy, you are known as Homegirl. So tell us where you got the name Homegirl from.
Okay, so years ago when I first started, I was probably the only realtor that I knew under 40. So everywhere I went, I was the youngest, and these veteran realtors would just look at me and like I was some kind of like little animal or something, because they didn't realize that I could be taken seriously, you know. And I knew my stuff, but at the same time, I had to really fight to be taken seriously. Real estate, in case you guys don't know, is very cutthroat. It is very dog eat dog, and you have to have a very thick skin. And when you're young, it's very easy for people to be like, oh, she's a kid, you know, or like, what is she gonna know? So Homegirl doesn't really inspire, you know, credibility right off the bat, but I did want to brand my business, you know, as something that could represent me as a young realtor, as, you know, once I hit my 40s, my 50s, and like really encompass what I represent, how my business is modeled after. Homegirl, when you think of your homegirl, it's your friend, you know what I mean? Like, she will bail you out of jail. She will, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like how I want to be known as a friend. Like, I'm gonna have your back no matter what. Like, even if you mess up, you know, your credit, paying your mortgage on time, like anything, you can tell me whatever, and I'm still gonna have your back. Like, that's the kind of representation that I wanna give you, and like the trust that I want you to have in me, not only myself, but in my company. So I just feel like, you know, you wanna call your homegirl.
Where do you see Homegirl going in the next few years, 5 years?
Okay, so I think it's a really exciting time. I trademarked Homegirl. I've been working on it. I mean, as soon as I even came up with it. I like having whatever's mine be mine, right? And I just don't like people who copy others. You know, I think that it's good for you to come up with your own ideas. So I really wanted to protect that. And Homegirl, I have it trademarked. And in the next 5 years, we want to be in, right now we're working on 10 markets. I want to be in 20 markets. So, you know, if Fanny here has her license in LA, she's going to be the Homegirl ambassador. And a part of the royalty that gets paid to me for coming up with Homegirl gets donated to a battered women's shelter in that market. So aside from making the money and, you know, having the business, we want to honestly like pay it forward, because they are our weakest links. So I just feel like it's very fitting that we kind of encompass representation and what we're about with every kind of demographic. So that's where I see it going in 5 years. It's very exciting. So
you said also that you work a lot with divorced couples.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So distressed is my specialty.
Well, not about divorced couples, but
well, not all of
you know about that.
I mean, so the divorce cases that I've worked, properties that I've sold are really like the hairiest. There's a lot of drama. You know, somebody's always very angry, whether it's the husband or it's the wife or someone's pissed, right? So 41% of a woman's income will drop by 41% after a divorce. So, I mean, I'm a girl, I'm feminine, my business is feminine. Obviously, we represent everybody equally, but when you sell your house in the midst of a divorce and you're a woman, part of our broker fee is gonna go back to you rebated. Like, no questions asked. If it's a same-sex couple, that same amount of fee that would be normally rebated will just be split half and half, or whoever makes less. So I just feel like it's little things that are gonna end up setting us apart, like big time, because nobody gives their commissions back. So
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great news. So Chad, you said that you're the owner of Investor Properties. Tell us about your company.
So I actually have a few companies, but the main two is the Property Relief Group. It's my acquisitions company. That's the one that I let the sellers see. Say that the Property Relief Group, I'm here to relieve you of your property, and all the problems that come with it. But the Investor Properties, shameless plug, theinvestorproperties.com is where we have all of our inventory of off-market deals. But that's our main source for our wholesale deals. With that, we've actually in the past month, we've expanded to 5 different states, and we're looking to hopefully in the next year be nationwide.
Awesome. That's great news. So you also said that you are the host of the REI Social El Paso. Tell us about that.
So that is an event that I put together. First one was in January, and it's been every 2 months since then. We've done it 3 times now. And it is, nobody's selling nothing. The sponsors just get a few 30 seconds maybe to talk, but it's for everybody to just come together, meet people that are also doing real estate or people that are trying to get into real estate. That's their biggest thing. So I don't know anybody. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know how to get started. There's hundreds of people that come to this thing. The first one we had a little bit less than 200. The second one was a lot, like 400 people came.
Wow.
And then the last one we had a little bit over 200. So it's a lot of people that show up. So you guys definitely, if you go to my group, El Paso's #1 real estate investing network, it's the name of the Facebook group. We post all of our information in there as well as any off-market deals or anything like that. It's a very safe environment for anything like that.
What inspired you to create that group, and what was your goal really for yourself with creating that group?
For the group or for the
Both.
event? Okay. So for the event was just really to help everybody out, to kind of get everybody together as just a happy, great time. Especially right after COVID, that's when everything started to lighten up right around January. Let's get everybody's to shake their funk off. But for the group was really just, again, the same kind of thing, was to create a safe space for people to put their deals out, to communicate, to kind of figure out how they wanted to get into it or how we can help each other out, and kind of like a very large mastermind kind of thing. So because just like Daisy said, that it's very cutthroat, and it can get really bad on the off-market side, really bad. So that's what we do with our moderation team, is we try to keep everything as safe and as possible for everybody to kind of grow as cleanly together as possible.
that's cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Make sure to check it out, guys. Denise, you just opened your new office here at Downtown Spaces. Congratulations. And you just started the Franco Real Estate Group, right? So tell us about Franco Real Estate.
So, very similar stories. I think for me, real estate has just changed my life, financially, and what I can and can't do, just the freedom that I have to kind of work from wherever. And there were a lot of people that helped me along the way. Like there were, senior realtors that were in the office when I was a new realtor, and they helped me put together an offer, something as simple as that. And so for me, a lot of it is just paying it forward. The team and the group, I want to see the team grow. I want to see them have all the successes, if not more, than myself. And then my partnerships, a lot of my partnerships they're just super important to me. Again, they've helped me out so much. I want more than anything to see my partners grow and succeed, because if they succeed, I succeed. And it's just that simple.
So you have a huge team. I feel like they're always here everywhere. Tell us about your team and how you guide them.
I'm very personal with my business. We definitely see eye to eye in a lot of things. I treat my clients, my team, my partners like my family and like my friends. And so I'm very personal. I know who your husband is, what he's like, what the kids are like. I know when my team's gonna go out of town with the family, what they're celebrating. Like, we just get really personal because it's really like an all-encompassing, we're trying to become better overall, not just in real estate. And so a lot of it, we just go back to that mindset. So when I'm coaching them, when I'm teaching them, like, we always start with that mindset. That's something that I really push, is getting past those fears and those blocks of not being able to do something. Because, like, you can genuinely do anything that you want to do. You just have to get past those blocks and those limiting mindsets. And then, of course, I'll provide the resources and I'll provide the training and the education and all of that. But that's like the cherry on top.
Absolutely. So where do you see Franco Real Estate in the next 5 years?
Definitely want to expand. So we actually, on top of starting the Franco Real Estate Group, we also switched brokerages to EXP. That was a strategic move for myself also, because I do want to expand. EXP is a global brokerage where they offer multiple streams of revenue within that brokerage. So I want to, ever since I joined them, now all of a sudden I have stocks, I just have the ability to do more with their backing. So I definitely want to expand. Looking back 5 years from now, there's just so much that I've done that I would have never guessed that I would do. So 5 years from now, I mean, I don't know, the sky's the limit.
It is. So we have a lot of people in the audience that probably, if they're not interested, or if they're interested in investing into homes, or maybe even becoming a real estate agent, or even interested in flipping homes, what is each of your advice on joining each of your professions?
I would say talk to somebody that's doing it already. This is the reason that we do stuff like this, is so you know that we're here and available to you, so that you can come and ask questions and talk to us. Spend a day with a realtor, see what that's all about, really get in there and figure out if it's something that you want to do, because it truly is a lifestyle commitment. So take the decision seriously. Really take your time to make that decision, because it is a full lifestyle commitment.
Daisy, what's your advice?
I think that what Denise says, that you have to take it very seriously. I definitely agree with that. I don't know. I mean, I would probably, if I could speak to my younger self, I would tell her, you better learn how to budget, because in this business, there's highs, there's lows, just like anything, but you have to really create structure. I think I learned that the hard way about my industry. You just never know when your next deal is going to come, sometimes when you're brand new. And I also think that you need to know how to take rejection easily. It can't do anything to you. If somebody, hangs up on you, I can't tell you how many times someone has called me a bitch and hung up on me. Agents, of course, never a client, but, negotiations can get hard. And people might not like you because you're representing your client, and you, at some times, will have to not care what the other agent thinks of you or the lender thinks of you, because you represent the client. So sometimes you want to be friends with everyone, and unfortunately, it's a hard business. It's cutthroat. You have to represent your client at all costs. So develop a thick skin. Yeah.
And Chad, what is your advice to someone who is interested in flipping homes?
Do your research and talk to people that are actually doing it, or realtors or lenders or anybody who can give you their opinion, who've done it before, because there's a lot of, let's say you're looking at off-market properties, there's a lot of wholesalers out there that don't actually know numbers, that are telling you numbers that aren't right, like really low rehabs, really high after repair values that aren't correct. So with that, like I said, just do your research, and then get a coach. Absolutely get a coach. Do it, or partner with somebody at the beginning who knows what they're doing and have done it before. I've partnered with a lot of people now they've never done a deal, but they want to get into it. So we'll work out a deal, we'll partner on the flip or something, and then we all win at the end. If they want to keep partnering like that, or they'll start buying deals from me off market.
Great. Well, thank you all for sharing your experiences. We will be opening it up, our questions, to the audience. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. You. And anybody can answer, so.
Fear of loss, fear of missing out. It's because the people who, like we're talking about a minute ago, everybody was in their house, they were renting, they were kind of stuck in their own home. But after everybody was allowed to get out and they were being qualified with unemployment and everything, they were able to get qualified for different loans, right? Is that correct? They were able to use that, the unemployment, to get approved?
Oh, no.
No?
No.
Oh,
Well,
I've
I'm
heard
sorry,
some companies
I don't think
were.
I understood the question. Oh, I have a theory on that.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So this is kind of my theory, just what I saw based off of my clients. So when COVID hit, anybody that was a homeowner did not want to leave their house anymore. Like, if you owned a home, you were not trying to sell. You were safe in your space. You had your family there. Kids are on lockdown, families on lockdown, so you weren't moving. At that time, the Federal Reserve came out that they were going to loan money at 0% interest. This did not apply to us, the commoners. This applied to the banks. They were loaning money to the banks because the banks started getting scared. They were like, oh, like, the market's about to crash, so now they got scared. They wanted to stop loaning money. For anybody that was working a deal in that time, we had a lot of deals that all of us, great clients, moving along smoothly, and then COVID hit, and all of a sudden, the bank had 110 restrictions that never existed before. So the bank is like, we're afraid to lend money. Well, Federal Reserve came in to save the day and like, hey, lend these people the money. We're going to lend it to you at 0% interest. I believe that a lot of consumers misinterpreted that information and thought that the banks were loaning money at 0%, because I did have clients coming in believing that they were going to get their loan at a 0% interest, which was not true. But because that was a misconception, or that's what was believed, everybody and their grandma went out to apply for houses, where before we had such a hard time getting them to apply. Like, hey, yeah, you do qualify. Now everyone and their grandma went out and applied. We have an influx in buyers. We have a shortage of sellers. Boom, now we have a seller's market. They are lower. Not 0%, though.
So as far as multifamily, it might be really hard for you to, get a hold of an apartment. Harder than usual, I should say, because if you have creative avenues, then it might be better. I'm referring to warehouses, office spaces. I mean, when we were in quarantine, we realized that we don't have to be in an office. And besides, I would rather work in my pajamas, you know what I mean? That was the common thought. And also, employers were like, you know what? I don't have to pay all this overhead. I can have people working from their homes. So I think that that's a change that's going to actually stay beyond the pandemic. Like, once we're really, really done with the pandemic, I think that the necessity for an office space will almost be obsolete unless you're in a service industry where you have to be face-to-face with the actual client. These spaces, I think, are really excellent opportunities to use them for different types of businesses. You know what I mean? Get creative with that space and how you can pitch it to maybe a business who does need that space. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity in like a consolidated, office space that no longer needs to be an office space. So, a seller might be like, I need to sell it, you know what I mean? So you might actually come in and say, I'll give you this much, office spaces really aren't selling right now. So I think that's what I would say about that.
And that's why we have downtown space is the co-working space.
Exactly.
So it really is beneficial to small businesses and people who are looking for that next option rather than being at home and they need a dedicated place. So we're seeing more popularity in co-working spaces.
Well, and then you can, like, for example, if I want to hold a client appreciation, I just have to rent out this space for, maybe a day or so. Or if I want to host a divorce seminar, how to sell your house during a divorce, I don't have to have all the overhead of having my own standalone office. There's a conference room, there's different ways. Like if you just kind of get creative, you can cut so much cost, and then it benefits businesses like yours. So, yeah.
Paul.
Who are you asking? Who are you asking? All of us? Oh. You want to? Okay.
I think that already worked itself out. The prices have already, that's just for like construction, would you? There's a delay on it, but it's already started to work itself back down. It was just a short-term panic, yeah. Are you talking about like you would lend money, or you want to buy stuff, or leverage it? I do a lot of profit sharing. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's a whole different ballgame. I'm not in syndications yet. I'm looking at them, but like with stuff that I do, like single families, where one side will fund it, we'll do everything else. We'll both be on the deed with a contract in place that stipulates every single detail, any type of anything that could happen. Just a joint venture agreement that goes in, that's filed with the county as well, alongside everything. That's what we do. But I don't have a lot of partners that I've done like tens of 20s of deals with. You know what I mean? Like onesies and twosies. We can refer to it as dating still. Once you get an LLC together, you're married, and now there's set stuff in place. But while you're dating, you're trying to feel each other out, because you don't want to get a loan from somebody, then like you actually don't get along at all, and then it becomes a whole thing. Then you're in each other's. Yeah, it can get bad. With trust? I use them, but for like sub-twos. But that's a totally different, I'm not going to go down to sub-twos right now. We'd be here for an hour. But no, I like for partnerships like that, no, I haven't done that yet.
I think that if you have $100,000 to invest, I think land might be a good option for you, where you purchase it on your own, and then you can always sell or finance for 9% at 15 years. Maybe with not such a huge down payment, you're going to have a buyer for that, and you're going to make 9% over 15 years. So once you do the math, that return will be better than, really anything that you would put $100,000 into. Well, my opinion. Yeah.
Yes. Hi.
I'm Carrie. I'm a creative director here. I work mainly in the film industry. And one of the avenues that I work in is actually real estate. So I've been working in real estate for multiple years now, about like 4 or 5 years now. And I saw the filming homes, different kinds, low scale, high scale, and now to almost none because of the demand. Except for high school. Some high school homes still want videos. But my question for you is that I have to write it down so I don't forget. Like since the pandemic, having an online presence has never been more important and more valuable than ever before. The market right now is hot, but when a correction might show up, having the online presence will keep you relevant. What have you been doing to separate yourself from the average realtor when creating a long-term brand when this wave comes down?
You can all answer if you'd like. I'm sure you all
I guess
have
I work with all of you because I work with builders, I work with realtors, I work with brokers. So, for you, it's all of it.
For me personally, pushing our online presence is just one of our biggest priorities, and it has been for a while because, like you said, when the pandemic hit, it was vital for you to have that online presence. And if you didn't already have it and you were barely starting, I mean, you were kind of behind because there's a learning curve to it. But for me and the team personally, I'm constantly pushing them to up their game in in online. You guys know, and I think what sets you apart in your brand is going to be like your personality, what values you stand for, what your company stands for, just being really genuine. But on top of that, like still, when you're getting those deals done, at least for me personally, the online presence is one thing that's like my branding, but my relationships with my clients, my partners, and my team, that's at the end of the day, regardless of whether we're in 2020 or in 1950, I think that's what sets you apart.
Daisy?
Oh, I think, yeah, so connection is so important. You know, we are used to texting now. I've hired a company called View from the Top Marketing. They handle all my social media presence. It's View from the Top. And I don't have a budget for advertisement at all. I'm 100% referral based. However, if Armando wants to send me a client and say, you have to go with my realtor, she sold my house top dollar, she's a shark, you gotta hire her. The first thing that person is gonna do is look me up on Instagram, you know, so then they start kind of seeing. I think it's very important, but at the end of the day, your performance is gonna outweigh whatever you put on social media. I'm very, very careful with what goes out. Sometimes we don't realize that you might not know who's looking at you, but they know what you're doing. You know, so I think it's very important that you're very careful as to what you project, as far as your personality goes, as far as your extra work time, what you do, and how you're perceived by that next future client. You know, I work with wives, with women. There's a certain way that I'm not going to look on Instagram because I'm going to work with your family. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't know what's happening between that couple. You don't want to look too provocative anywhere because that wife is going to, you know, think twice before hiring you. So, yeah. I don't even know what the question was, but I think that's... But
It sounded great, though. It sounded great.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
I just think that those are the things that are really important.
Great.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay.
On that, I can answer that too. So since the beginning, social media and the online presence has been our lifeblood. We do cold calling, we do all kind of stuff, but our main thing has been different types of advertisements online. We have a social media manager and everything like that, but we've been getting a lot of referrals from both buyers, which is a new thing, people that use us. That's why we made the investor properties, was so we can get referrals from, not just referrals, but what's it, recommendation, no.
Reviews?
Thank you. Reviews from our buyers, so that way people know that we're legitimate and everything like that. That and mainly from the sellers as well. We get videos with them, and anytime I'm at a house now, I don't know if anybody's seen anything that I do, but I always pretty much do a Facebook Live, either on Instagram or on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Weddle Buys Houses, because I'm a Weddle. But
Weddle Buys Houses?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Weddle Buys Houses. Mm-hmm.
All right, any question? Oh, Fanny?
I guess my question is mostly about how you work. Like, have you said that working with realtors and everything is like really cutthroat? How do you deal with it, and how, like, what advice would you give to new realtors or people who are trying to, you know, move up the ladder? And what advice would you give them, and how do you manage that?
good CRM? Yeah? No? Okay, I don't know. I'm not a realtor.
If you're talking about dealing with the personalities, personally, I come from the service industry. I come from working in restaurants. So for me, it was very like, you're going to have your bad apples. You're going to have the people that are in a bad mood that you, no matter how you bend over backwards, no matter what you offer, like you're going to have those people that will never be satisfied with you. I don't like to dwell on it. Like, they come when they come. We cross that bridge when we get there. As long as you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing to the best of your ability, don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about the people that are going to give you a hard time. You never know when you caught them. You never know if you just caught them on a day when they got into an altercation with their significant other. They just had the talk last night about getting divorced. They're 3 months behind on their mortgage payment. Like, you just don't know what a person's situation is. So I tend to lead with like empathy. Like, you know, I don't know what your situation is. At the same time, create very clear boundaries for yourself to ensure that you're always being respected, especially as a female, because you're about to jump into, if not, I think you're already in, a man's world. And you just need to be really precise with your boundaries to make sure that that you're constantly being respected.
I agree with part of it. I think that for somebody coming in, my advice first is dress code. Like, how are you
Perceiving yourself.
Yeah, like, we still live in a very sexist world, like Denise says. I don't consider it a man's world. I make more than a lot of men that I know. So it's not a man's world, you know, and I do think you have to command a certain amount of respect when you're dealing with other agents. You might come in contact with a veteran that you want to be like. You know, there's agents that I really look up to, I really respect. So I'm going to act like that. Like, you want to respect your peers, definitely, but you also have to take no BS. You know what I mean? So I think you kind of come into your own in the industry to where you have to know who you are and never lose sight of who you work for. And if you stay consistent with who you work for and the best interest of them, you're going to be fine. I think the first years in my career were a little bit bumpy because I was a little bit more meek. I was nicer, if you can imagine that. And I kind of played by their rules a little bit. But there comes a time where you're like, wait, that's not how you do it. You know what I mean? Or you're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. So if you learn how to say no while protecting your client, I think that goes a long way. And, you know, as a female, if you want to get into the business, take your dad shopping with you. When I first started, my dad was like, you're not going to wear that, you're not going to wear that, you're not going to wear that. So he kind of picked my outfit, you know, like my first couple work outfits. So I was showing no cleavage, like very conservative, you know, very modest. And I think that goes a long way. If I can offer some advice to a young girl who's a realtor, you're young, you're pretty, but you want to be taken seriously. You know what I mean? Like, wear whatever you want on your free time. But when you're working, like, all eyes on right here. You know what I mean? And, like, right here, my finger, like, where you're going to sign, but nowhere else. I think that's really important going in. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, definitely. We try to give out as much educational content as possible. We actually just started up a Sun City investor group with those two handsome guys sitting next to you. So we actually, same as Chad, it's just like a safe working, a safe space for anybody that's thinking about coming in and investing, where we, for an hour and a half, give information. We put a lot of this information on social media. We always, give out the invites. And then we also do a lot of informational videos is pretty much what I'm gearing most of my content to now, as well. But it's a form of giving back, and you never know the client that's going to come from that also. So if you're in a business where you need leads, I think a knowledge-based content is it's a good way to go. So I'm actually pretty new to the seminar stuff. Like, this is the first panel that I've ever spoke at. The group is something that we put together, and we started in March-ish. Like, we've only been doing it for a few months. So yeah, it's relatively new for me personally. So I couldn't give you like a good gauge yet, I don't think. I'm glad you've seen us before. That's awesome. I think just giving us your best advice in what you do. Like for me, like you're saying that you do the creative work. I'm constantly asking my videographer, my photographer, like, what do you recommend for me on your end? Like, I'll get the information, I'll get the message across for you. I'll be presentable and well spoken, and you'll be able to hear me. I'll do my part, but on your end, like, just focus on mastering your craft, and then giving that information and that feedback back to your client to help make them better.
Great. Any more questions? Any other questions? No more? No more? All right. Well, that wraps up Market Like It's Hot, Fortune Building in 2021. Thank you to all of our speakers for sharing their expertise and experiences and giving us all some new knowledge on what it takes to sell or buy in this current market. Thanks to all of our guests for attending tonight. If you were thinking about buying or selling a house, it's your sign. Thank you, Downtown Spaces, for providing this wonderful monthly panel discussions. We host a monthly panel discussion, so look forward to us hosting our next one. Follow us on Instagram, go to our website, subscribe for notifications about new events. And if you have not had a tour of this place, please get with Chris or Caesar up at the top, and they will grab your information and set you up with a tour of the space. Thank you all for joining us tonight.